Let's be honest, Warzone 2 is definitely a little bit challenging. You know, it's both different and tougher than what we are used to, but what I'll tell you is that a win feels so much more rewarding. Better than Verdansk, Rebirth, Caldera, or Fortune's Keep. So today, I'm going to be going over a few things that you really want to be doing throughout each game that will allow you to have more success, while actually breaking down key moments here from my first win. Now, let's go ahead and start off with the obvious, primarily because we're going to get punished for this immediately. It is a much different and much slower game. Less about movement, more about positioning and gameplay strategy. And for my Resurgence players, you get punished a lot more when you die. So we got to be more strategic. And like I said, we're going to get punished for that. I do just want to quickly highlight this. This blue shield right here, he is not broken. I've simply tagged him a little bit. You will see the shield actually break when he is broken, and I'll highlight that for you a little bit later on. But going back to what I was saying, you know, we just kind of try to muscle this and finesse our way through and just go, you know, guns blazing in, which is not the strategy in BR. Rob's gonna go down, so what do? I immediately push in right behind him. We're playing quads. There's 4 people here, one of which is down, right, that I sniped, but there's still 3 other people here, and that's something that we have to keep in mind, because you get punished if you die, which we do. And I also show you that because at the end of the day, if you die early, it's okay. You can still win. That's part of BR. It's part of the fun of BR. Now we go to Gulag 2v2. I'm going to end up dying here. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. What I want to talk about is, first of all, the 2v2. So you got to work with your teammate, whether you are on the same team or not on the same team. The other thing is I am going to be working on a Gulag strategy guide. This was my second game. Biggest things is we want to be using what we can see, what we can hear, obviously, but also we want to be using our lethal and tactical to get information, to try to test out where people will be. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that in my strategy guide. We want to win Gulag that gives us a kill and make sure we're back in the game and it doesn't cost our teammate $4,000. Nobody wants to be the $4,000 teammate. And I've also got a bunch of other tip videos and loadout videos for you guys over the next few days and weeks. So if you are looking to become better than your friends, make sure you are subscribed down below. Now, next up, let's talk about regaining. There's one word to describe regaining in Warzone 2. It is terrible. There's not a lot of cash on the ground. There's not a lot of contracts around. It's hard to get kills, so you can't take money from other people. So the biggest thing with regaining is we want to prevent being in that situation as much as possible. Well, how do we do that? We really need to focus on cash flow early. Early game, it's a huge map. There's 150 people, but a lot of people tend to drop observatory, high rise, as well as the city. So if you land a little bit on the outskirts, I'm not saying all the way on the edge of the map, but find somewhere with a contract or two that you can do, that allows you to get that cash flow going. You won't end up in the blender sitting around trying to revive your teammates because they're full dead. You can get your loadout guns from the buy station, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And of course, you can pop UAVs and start to really push people. There's not really any way to get information besides a bounty contract and a UAV in this game. So we want to focus on cash flow early. Now we're in second circle. We're going to go ahead and do this safe cracker contract right here. This is basically a scavenger contract. There's 3 locations that we've got to go detonate C4. You'll see this play out. It's a great way to actually get cash. They don't go too far, and you see exactly where the 3 are. It's a little bit different than a scav. A scav used to be like you get the first one, then you get the second one, then you get the third one. This one, you clearly see where all 3 of them are. By the way, I'm going to swap to this M4 right here. We obviously know it has 3 attachments. Now it says that I have 2. Either way, we're going to go ahead, we're going to push in, and this is going to not only give us a ton of cash from the actual safe, but it's also going to give us a ton of cash once we actually do it. I mean, we're going to have 3 people alive by the time we finish it, but $1,700 a person, that at least allows us to buy a loadout gun for one of us, at which point we're a little bit more comfortable. But right there, I mean, $4 grand, I can already buy TCAP back, and then of course, we're going to start working towards getting our loadout guns, and you're going to see how that kind of progresses. Loadout's a little bit of an interesting dynamic this game, and there is one little bug that we do need to talk about with the free loadout that I need to make you aware of. So right here, going back to the regain process and just kind of overall strategy, because of the fact that it's slower, because of the fact that there is much less information when it comes to audio and weapon pings, you know, cash flow is going to be crucial so that we can get UAVs. We can obviously get our loadout guns because we can't buy a full loadout, but we can still buy loadout guns. We're going to plant the C4. We're going to go ahead and detonate that. Now, what we're going to end up doing here, just kind of being a little bit smarter, is I'm going to buy TCAP back, and then he's going to land on that last supply crate or that last safe right there so that we get the maximum amount of money possible. And then at that point, what's going to happen is now we can start to buy loadout guns. And this game is really where we start. This moment right here is where we start to get momentum. Notice we haven't really done much yet. It hasn't been anything crazy. You know, obviously we've been in the blender most of the game, and you see how hard that regain process is. We're just now regained. I mean, I died when first circle hadn't even started closing yet, and we're just now back to full strength. Now, right here, I'm finally going to be able to buy my loadout. 5 grand, we're going to go with the primary here, the HCR, at which point I need to be thinking about the fact that I need to be looking for a secondary, you know, a Vaznev, an AK-74U, maybe a shotgun, just something that I feel comfortable with. For now, I'm just going with the M4, but on top of that, when it comes to cash flow, right here, I'm going to drop my money for Rob. Rob's going to be able to buy his primary gun. That's going to give us a pretty big advantage over other enemies, just for the fact that we've got more range, we've got less recoil, and we feel more comfortable with them. You know, it's something that we have built ourselves. Now, I want to highlight this right here in terms of our backpack. Notice that I have a self-revive equipped, and I also have a self-revive in my backpack. If I were to get sniped and use myself, I can then use another self-revive or get another self-revive because I have it in my backpack. But what I'm going to end up doing right here is I'm going to end up dropping the wrong one. I don't know why I dropped that one as opposed to this one, but now all of a sudden I don't have a self-revive. If I go down, I don't have self-revive because it's in my backpack. It's not actually equipped in my loadout. Now, right here, we've got the Orion HCR, one of my favorite guns to use right now. It's an LMG. I think LMGs are going to be really good in this game just because of the range and stuff. But let's go ahead and start getting into some fights here. You're going to see how we start to play this out a little bit different. I was just, like I said, this was my second game on. I was just trying to see how it felt. I was just trying to see, you know, what's the ADS speed? What's the range feel like? How's the M4 feel? And I knew there were people over here. TCAP had calmed that when he landed on that last safe. Hey, there's people over here. When it comes to BR, when we talk about information, lack of information, no minimap pings when people shoot, not a ton of audio cues, you're relying a lot on what you're seeing, you got to remember that information because we're trying to see exactly where these people are. We're not 100% sure. We're going to end up pushing over after we play a little bit more strategic. You can see how much the pace of play has slowed, and that's okay. We're going to, you know, as this progresses, I'm guessing the game's going to get faster and we'll learn more about it. But for now, you gotta slow down. You want to be looking for people, right? You still want to be pushing. You want to be finding people and kind of in the action a little bit so that we're not playing 30 minutes to get to endgame to just die with 1 kill. But we want to be strategic about our approach. We want to be strategic about how we're repositioning and kind of playing as a team. That's the other thing, you know, definitely in Verdansk and definitely in Rebirth and Fortune's Keep, you could get away with splitting from your squad. You cannot do that at that much in this game, not unless you're like a true Warzone demon, which I am not. So I'm going to be sticking with my squad for now. We're going to be playing together. We're going to have multiple sets of eyes looking for people and executing. Now let's talk about Loadout right here. Now here's the bug with Loadout that TCAP actually informed me of. The moment somebody grabs it, it actually goes away off the minimap. So when you see that they actually drop, right, ping 2 that are close to you so that you understand where they are. So that when they do disappear off the minimap, and by the way, I'm going to go with my Lockman sub because I already have my HCR right here. Notice how it's no longer on the minimap. It's still live. Anybody can grab that. If there's 10 teams around us, all 10 teams or 11 teams can grab that loadout. So you got to be smart right there. But you got to ping it and know where it is because you'll never be able to find it. It doesn't go away. It's not just one team grabs it and it goes away. It literally stays for every single person on the map to be able to use if they happen to find it. Now, we know there's people over here from one flying in. And let's start talking about kind of momentum here. And we've addressed a lot of stuff so far, right? We addressed, you know, it's a much slower game. We addressed regaining in contracts, focusing on cash flow, obviously loadout here. That's my strategy, is to get my gun early. Then we can hit the free loadout. Now I've got both guns. I've got perks. You know, I'm running high alert, double time. I forget what the other 2 are. I forget what maybe restock and one other. I forget what it's the Vanguard perk package. Now we can start to engage. Let's talk about positioning. It's gonna be a video I do a much more extensive breakdown of, but look at our positioning right here. You know, obviously I'm going for a little bit of a flank. TCAP is sniping. I forget what Rob was using, but you can kind of see that we're all covering for each other, and now we go to work right here. I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna bring it back because I want to show you something. So I get the kill right there, and then I get the tag. Now right here, you can see the armor break. Right? Okay, so that is the armor tag that I was telling you about. That is the armor break. So see that very clear distinction between tagged and broken? And then, of course, once he's broken, then he's on to his base health. Now, the other thing with, just to quickly talk about TTK, well, let's push up here. We're going to go in and push. I'm going to plate. You cannot sprint while plating, so you got to be strategic about where you're plating. Now, we're going to go ahead and push up with the Lockman sub, which I absolutely love the Lockman. We're going to take out person number 1, and right here, this is where I talk about it is a team game. There's the teammate, right? So that's one component of a team game. Component number 2 is TCap's there to cover for me. So that's where we start playing as a team. We start being a little bit more strategic, playing positioning, using comms. I mean, the people that I'm watching that are having a lot of success, which we're going to be breaking down some pro gameplay over the next few weeks, they are really, really having good comms. Before we jump back to where we were before about the TTK, let me quickly talk about this. I just want to quickly address something here. You can actually equip these straight from... You can actually equip this stuff straight from, you know, your backpack or your enemy's backpack, right? So right here, it's going to be equip. It's going to be, I'm going to equip the dead silence as well. And then you can actually equip the gas mask by just hitting whatever your equip button, right? It kind of depends, to be honest. But, and then I'm going to stow the armor plates for later. So I have 3 armor plates right here. If I go through these these 3 armor plates, and these ones move into here, and I still have 3 armor plates. Just something to keep in mind right there. Now, when it comes to TTK, here's the biggest problem with TTK right now. First of all, we're used to 300 health, right? The biggest problem with TTK is actually 2 plates. A lot of people are running around with 2 plates. Well, it's 100 base health, just like Warzone 1. But the difference, well, I guess towards the end it was 150. But, you know, 100 base health isn't anything unusual. The difference is actually the plates. When you have 2 plates, which are 50 apiece, then all of a sudden if you don't have an armor vest, your health is only 200, which that TTK is so fast. So I hope they make that adjustment and take out the armor vest. Now, the reason I kept this in as a key moment is just because of positioning and gameplay strategy. Not really the best time to shoot right here. We end up shooting a little bit, but it's kind of a tough push. And what you're going to end up seeing is we don't really push this, right? It's okay to not push and just play positioning. This is where we talk about positioning, game strategy, and slowing our pace down is... We're not really going to push this. We're going to try to get kills. We're going to try to play a little bit of positioning, but right there, you know, I'm trying to get that knock if I can and maybe even get that full kill, but it's not really possible. So we're going to go in and rotate. Same thing right there. Nice little dolphin dive by that guy. And now we're just going to kind of run into some people over to kind of basically to my right now, kind of straight ahead. And we're going to use audio. I'm going to hear this guy, and now we got to figure out how to approach, right? We don't know how many they are. We don't know exactly where they are. So we really need to be strategic about how we go about challenging this. And this is where you got to make sure your teammates are with you. You know, look at where TCap and Rob are. If you are pushing something, you need to be communicating to your teammates that you are pushing, because if you go down right now, look, if I go down right now, they do not have enough to buy me back. So there's no respawn dynamic. And not only is important from a team dynamic, but like, let's be honest, I don't want to sit around for the last 7 minutes of this game waiting for my teammates to clutch or not clutch. And sometimes they just can't find money, or there's not a buy station. So it's almost as important from a team dynamic as it is from like a you having fun dynamic of like, you don't want to be dead. So be strategic. You want to be acting on information that you have, whatever little information you do have. But you can see right here that we're doing a really good job. I get it down in thirst. Rob gets it down in thirst. We know there's still 2 more players alive right here. By the way, we got 14 other enemies. And then we're going to get one rotating out in the open. So we're just going to go ahead and fry him right there. We get the down. We get the thirst. There's kill number 6. And I actually dropped down here. Now, I panic a little bit because they had calmed that there was one under me. And that's where you always want to remember information. So I'm a little bit nervous down here. Like, okay, what's the play? Is somebody going to push me? Notice where TCap is, though. Right? He's right there to cover for me. He's full plates. He's in a really good spot. Rob's not too far away. So we're just, we're not necessarily like literally right on top of one another to the point where we can be like, you know, we can be basically team wiped in a matter of 2 seconds, but sorry about that. Oh, that was a little burp. We are close enough that we are able to cover for one another. Now, right there, Rob goes down. I'm just trying to see what I can find. We're trying to figure out where he actually went down to. We weren't 100% sure, so we're trying to kind of see what we can find, not over peeking windows too much. We just don't know where he is. We got 12 other people still alive. Now, one other big tip for Endgame here, when it comes to actually winning, right? Look at again, same thing as what I've always talked about in Rebirth. If you're new here, basically it is it's power position and cover. You want to be in circle with cover, and then power position matters. Because if you're up top on a hill and you have high ground, which everybody says is power position, but you don't have any cover, it doesn't really do you any good. You're just gonna get fried. So I'm looking for like buildings and windows that I can challenge people from who may be rotating out in the open, while also being in circles so I don't have to worry about gas. And we're going to rotate early to actually get there if we have to. You can see us kind of making our way over to circle here, clearing a building at a time. Another video I'll probably do, which is how to clear buildings. It's going to be important in this game because there are so many of them. And of course, it's a campier, slower, more strategic game. By the way, look at all three of us. Like, this is very much a team game, guys. We used to always complain about stacking on Rebirth. That is not, you can't complain about that anymore. This is BR. This is a totally different beast. Who knows what Resurgence is going to look like in the future, but this is a team game. We need to figure out how to win as a team. We can still drop high kill games. I think we dropped maybe 20 something here, which those numbers will keep increasing. This was our second game on. You know, I'm sure they're going to make adjustments to the pace of play. I'm sure we're going to learn how to use vehicles better. It's probably another video that I'm going to be doing. You know, of course, I think my biggest concern, one of the biggest things I'd love to see addressed, we're going to challenge this guy down, right? Watch the TTK right here. This guy, I guarantee you, only has 2 plates. Look at the TTK. Oh, maybe he didn't even have any plates. Oh, that's probably why he was dropping the armor box. Maybe he didn't have any plates. You know, I think being able to buy more UAVs will really help. But the whole, I don't know if you've been to a UAV, or been to a buy station, but if you have to try to buy a UAV, sometimes they're just out of stock and you can't actually buy one. So all of a sudden, there was a game where I was running around with like $20,000 and I couldn't do anything. Let's focus back on this game. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scatterbrained as I always am. Let's go ahead and push up top here. We see where circle pulls. Now notice where we want to be. Like, we either want to be in this house right here or this house right here. That is in circle. It is, we have cover and we've kind of got somewhat of power position. So we need to go ahead and rotate early right here. And this is the team dynamic. You know, I may not see somebody, but TCAP's able to live ping. It's a great way to actually communicate with your teammate, which I'm going to write that down. Comms, big one is right there, is how to communicate with your teammates. So maybe that's a really good video to do, just teaching you about like being concise, using live pings to your advantage, you know, making sure that you have building call outs and stuff. But you know, right here we're down to a 3. It could be a 3v3v3, could be a 3v4v2, so we got to keep that in mind, right? We're playing quads right here. So now we're just trying to see what we can find. We're in the building, we've got cover, we're in a good spot, and BR, guys, these clutches are crazy. You know, these are much, much different than Resurgence clutches, and I didn't play much Caldera, I did play a lot of Verdansk, but these are still just totally different. They are very, very chaotic. Right here, by the way, we're in a 3v4. So we get the down. Rob goes down right here. I've got to plate up. TCAP's healthy. So TCAP's going to go for the res. I'm going to plate up. And this is where we're playing strategic as a team. Now, I'm going to cover this doorway. We're kind of trapped right here, and we're able to get that knock. Now, again, I'm low health here. I have no plates. TCAP's going to trade. TCAP's going to go push out. Now look at this. All of a sudden, guys, I didn't even notice this, by the way. This is a 3v1 situation. I got a kill. I got it down. TCAP got it down. TCAP got both thirst. It's a 3v1, so let's go ahead and challenge right here, and that's a little bit of how to win. You know, focus on cash early with contracts so you don't get stuck regaining too much. Win your gulags. Keep in mind that gulag strategy video is coming soon. Get your loadouts and then start to act on information, but really play as a squad. I hope you found today's video helpful. As I always say, go get your first win ASAP. Let's get better today, and I'll see you tomorrow.